Hello and howdy everyone. A couple days ago I saw Jurassic Park in 3D. I had a good time. You know, it's Jurassic Park. It's a part of my childhood. I think I could probably spend half this review talking about my experience with Jurassic Park over time. I'm not sure what number this is in terms of how many times I've seen it. I mean, what, it came out in 1993 or 92. I've, seen it many, many times. I would actually probably, since it was a part of my, youth, I'd have to say I've probably seen it over 10 times. But I haven't seen it in some time. I can't remember the last time I watched Jurassic Park beginning to end. Perhaps in college, maybe. I can't remember. Jurassic Park was the first film I ever saw on opening night at midnight. As far as I can remember, it was the first time you could ever see a movie like that. At this time, in the early 90s, I was in Jefferson City, Missouri, and, they didn't really have film events. But for some reason, I think it was the first, and I was the third person. I was there with my parents. They actually dropped me off, so I would have to wait in line for multiple hours. But I was the third person in Jefferson City to buy a ticket to Jurassic Park. And it was the midnight show. I was totally pumped. I had to stand in line forever. I had my Jurassic Park t-shirt on. I got like a poster for being one of the first 100 people to buy a ticket. So I was like totally pumped. Dinosaurs were, well, as probably with most kids, a fascination. They were like a deep fascination for me until I realized that I was going to dedicate my life to film and acting. I was going to dedicate my life to paleontology and dinosaurs. Up until the age of 14, whenever I made that switch, it was like one day I was going to be a paleontologist, the next day I was going to be an actor. So, the paleontologist in me saw Jurassic Park, and I was thrilled. It was amazing. I can vividly remember watching Jurassic Park for the first time on the big screen. I could vividly remember the car ride home at 2:30 in the morning. It was just an event. It was an event that I'll probably never forget. So they re-released it for what I guess its 20th anniversary. So that means it did come out in 93 and not 92. They've enhanced it with 3D. They also did an IMAX 3D version. I did not see the IMAX version because, whenever you convert a film to IMAX, especially an older film like this, it distorts the special effects. No matter, even the most modern of films and special effects, whenever you convert it to that IMAX format, it stretches, it degrades the computer effects. So I opted not to see it in IMAX just because, again, I feel you're getting to a point when, first of all, this is a 3D conversion, and then to convert it to IMAX, it's just like, it's too much. It's just, keep it pure as much as possible. I even considered not seeing it in 3D, but I figured, no, I should see it in 3D. And I would like to say a big part of my issue with this viewing was the 3D. And I'll try and get over and through with it quick, but the 3D was good. It definitely added dimension. I think Spielberg prescribes to the, I never heard anyone before George Lucas say it. I suppose that, even though I, haven't seen Avatar since the big screen, because why would you watch it, anywhere else except on a massive screen in 3D? But, the 3D doesn't come out at you. You know, it doesn't come out. It's the screen is the proscenium arch, and everything else, you know, goes back. So they use the 3D to give it depth and not necessarily have something jump out at your face. I would say that even when the velociraptors jump out at you, it's not like, you know, cheesy 3D tricks. You know, it's more about perspective and going depth of field. And you know, it added something to that effect. You know, it made you feel like you were somewhat in the scene more, I suppose. But the one thing that 3D does, and it both goes with the conversion process, and I even think a film, you know, filmed and shot in 3D is kind of this way too. And then I know the glasses have something to do with it. But a 3D film has up to 20% of the color removed. Both, you know, again, through the conversion and through the glasses themselves. Up to 20%, there's up to 20% difference in terms of, you know, the prism of color between a regular film and a 3D film. That was never more obvious while watching this film. It seemed at many points that everything was like the same color. You know, everything had that like shade of gray. It almost had this metallic tint to everything. And it just kind of made it seem flat. And I know that's weird to say about a 3D film, but it did. It made it seem kind of flat. Now, a lot of the pivotal scenes and a lot of the iconic scenes of this film take place in the dark, so it doesn't, you know, matter too much, but it really just kind of annoyed me after a while. I was just like, where is the vivid colors? You know, even in the scene where all of the, what do they say, Gallimimus, when all the Gallimimus are like flocking to avoid a predator, and then the T-Rex comes out, you know, that's in broad daylight, and it's a vividly beautiful shot with all sorts of colors, you know, going on. They're in an open field. It's, you know, bright and sunny. The dinosaurs look amazing, and even in that scene, it was all just kind of gray. And it was just like, what is going on here? So I didn't, I don't really like 3D, I guess. Unless it's done with the utmost care. Like, I don't so remember that in Prometheus. I don't really remember that in Hugo. Those are probably the two best examples of 3D in recent memory. You know, so maybe if a film is shot and filmed with 3D film and 3D camera, it makes a big difference. But again, taking a 20-year-old film and converting it, you know, I don't know, took a lot of color out of it. I can't imagine, I believe the cinematographer here, I mean, this is just my best guess, is Janusz Kaminski. You know, Spielberg and Janusz Kaminski have been working together for a long, long time. And I can't imagine, you know, the Janusz Kaminski watching this and being satisfied. You know, in fact, I imagined him while watching this film just squirming in his seat, you know, going, what have they done to my baby? I mean, it really just eliminates the entire artistic process of cinematography. So it, in a way that got to me. You know, it just wasn't vivid. It didn't match my memory at all in terms of color. And that's why, again, I kind of considered seeing it in regular 2D. Okay, so that's the technical. You know, it was a good crowd. There was only a few people there. It was a matinee. You know, they were all kind of older. So I, you know, got the feeling that it was a nostalgic viewing for pretty much everyone there. And definitely on nostalgia, it works for me. You know, I'm divided. You know, again, it's part of my childhood. I want to give it a 10 just because I, you know, had Jurassic Park. I had a Jurassic Park bedroom for all intents and purposes. So it's like I kind of want to give it, you know, that heartfelt 10. But this is the first time, again, that I've watched it in a long time. And maybe some of the God, to say flaws makes it seem harsh, but some of the flaws, in terms of characterization, all of the characters, the film is about 2 hours, just over 2 hours. And basically the last 45 minutes, maybe even 50 minutes, is an extended action sequence, which is amazing, and I'm not complaining about it. It features some of Spielberg's best work, and sustained moments of tension. Basically the last 45 minutes do not let go. You're just going and going and constantly on edge. Again, that's a feat unto itself. And I think at the time, probably, not done that much. So that was impressive, but it also made me notice that all of the characterization, all of the comedy, all of anything like smart, witty, heartfelt, anything emotional besides tension and terror occurs in the first hour of the film. That's when you get all your character build up. And so you're introduced to these characters. You pretty much like all the characters, which says something, that they get it all done. But then it's like, I hope you've met everyone. I hope you know what everyone's like, because you're not going to really get to hear them talk again. You're not going to get to see them interact in a, meaningful way that's outside of survival. So that kind of stuck out to me, that I was like, well, no one's really talking anymore. Just everyone's running from dinosaurs, which is cool. It's just something I noticed kind of for the first time, which, I can't let go of. I thought all the acting was really good. Let's see. The cast is Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Samuel L. Jackson, Wayne Knight, Richard Attenborough, Jeff Goldblum. Who else is in there? There's more people. I think I got all the names, though, at least that I know. All the acting is really good. I loved seeing Wayne Knight, I think, along with Newman. Personally, I think he got the role of Newman from this film. I know that Seinfeld started before. I mean, maybe Newman was on Seinfeld before this, but I know Newman came in later in Seinfeld. And I want to think that he got the role from this film because he's just so good. He's just so delightful. He definitely has the biggest laughs of the film. He's just great in it. He's just great. Also, Samuel L. Jackson, before he was like, the icon Samuel L. Jackson. I think this helped him become Samuel L. Jackson. It was definitely like his biggest role to date, I would, have to argue. All the Jeff Goldblum was always good. Jeff Goldblum was like a personal, idol hero of mine. I kind of want to be Jeff Goldblum, so he's always good. And Sam Neill, always good. Always good. Laura Dern, hot, always good. Again, all the acting, fine. There's no argument there. It was written by David Koepp. David Koepp is now quite big, if not one of the most powerful screenwriters in Hollywood, and he's a director now as well. I think, he just did Premium Rush. So this is like one of the first times I think you see a major release from David Koepp. Michael Crichton, who wrote the novel, also co-wrote this. Again, the screenplay is fine. It's kind of like maybe they split it in half. Like Michael Crichton took the first half and all the the getting to know the characters and all the character work, and then David Koepp took over for the second half and made sure that it was all of that tense action was there on the paper before it went to the screen. So maybe it was just that kind of collaboration that makes it seem like it becomes a different film, halfway through. The special effects are revolutionary. Industrial Light and Magic, combining with Stan Winston's puppetry magic, and what I guess also Tippert worked on this. I think it's, again, I think it's a groundbreaking film in terms of special effects and what would be done today and from then on in terms of green screen and animatronics, and again, that the modern puppetry, which sadly you don't see too much anymore, but I think it is just gorgeous here. All the dinosaurs look real. Even if they're a little flat in color, they look like they're there. And all the special effects, all the video effects, CGI work has held up incredibly nicely. It's just really something. It's just thrilling to see them in motion. It was like, I can still remember that. It was just like, wow. I was like, I'd never seen anything. Just when the T-Rex steps out of that paddock, which, this film has now just been overly criticized with the obvious flaws that it has, even going so far as to misspell some dinosaur names. But, when that T-Rex steps out of the paddock, in the rain, that's just something that's cinema. That's a moment in time that if you were there, you'll never forget it. And, that kind of instant, changed film. So that's really cool. So I'm going to give it a 9, just because the 3D left me flaccid, and irritated by the loss of color. And this is the first time I've noticed that, there's not much exposition and talking for the last hour of the film. But again, this is a part of my makeup. This is a part of my DNA. So I can't not like the film. I can't not love it. And I do love the film. And it was great to see it in the big screen. I felt like a kid again, and definitely worth the money. Definitely worth the money. So I think I've said all I've got to. Oh, John Williams. I owned the soundtrack as a kid. I listened to this soundtrack a lot as a kid. So again, just everything. It just is from what I was in 1993. I would have been 14, 13. I'm not good with math. But anyway, 14-year-old kid, movie dinosaurs, so maybe I was 13, I can't remember, damn it. It just brought me back to that time, and I'll never forget waiting in line and seeing my first midnight movie on opening night, and having, that was Jurassic Park. So it will just, it's a part of me, so it's great, and I think I've said everything I need to say. Everything, it's Jurassic Park. I'm just rambling now. So it's a solid, I'll give it a 9, just so I can just be realistic. So there you go. Thanks much.